All right, guys, welcome to our next topic in our dividing decimals unit. So today we are going to learn how to divide a whole number by a decimal. So if you remember in our last topic, I made sure to remind you what the dividend, or the number inside the house, and the divisor, or the number outside the house, what they were. And I told you that it is always okay for our dividend to be a decimal, but it is never okay for our divisor to be a decimal. So every single problem you are going to see today, your divisor is a decimal. And you, my friends, are going to have to fix it. But I'm going to show you how to do it, and you're going to feel like such a smart mathematician when all of this is done. Because these problems look super complicated, but they're actually super easy. So I've got a number here. I've got 2 divided by 5/10. So if I were to think of this mathematically, I'm thinking like how many 5/10 can fit into the number 2. That's a great way to think about division, actually. Instead of 2 divided by this, think of like how many of this can I fit inside that dividend. So there's a couple of steps here. First, I can't have this 5/10. I've got to change that divisor to a whole number. So basically, I've got to multiply that divisor by a power of 10. I have to multiply it by either 10, 100, or 1,000 to move that decimal over to make that number become a whole number. So if I have 5/10, I only have to move that decimal one time to make that number become a 5. But here's my next part, friends. Whatever I do to my divisor, I have to do to my dividend so that I can make my problem equal. I can make them worth the same amount. So if I multiplied 5/10 by 10, or move the decimal one time, I've got to do the same to my dividend. I've got to make that 2 become a 20. I have to multiply it by 10. So backing up, here's what I did. I moved my decimal one time in that 5 to make, or 5/10 to make it become a 5. In my 2 right here, there's really an imaginary decimal right there. And remember, I can have a bunch of zeros if I want. I multiplied 2 by 10 as well and moved that decimal one time to make it 20. So really all I'm doing is moving that decimal in each number. So I start with my divisor and then I move on to my dividend. So let's solve the rest of this problem, because now it's super easy, because now I'm just dividing 5 into 20. How many times can 5 fit into 20? 4 times. That's it. That's my answer. I don't even have to do anything else. Isn't that crazy? I know. Let's do another one. This time I have 426 divided by 6/10. Well, there I go. I have that 6/10 in there, and I can't have a decimal as my divisor. So I've got to multiply that 6/10 by how many? 10, 100, or 1,000. How many times do I move that decimal to make that number become whole? One time. So now I've got 6, but I've got to do the same thing to my dividend. So I multiplied 6/10 by 10 to make it become 6. I got to do the same with my dividend. So 426 times 10, all I got to do is add a 0 to the end. Bam, and there I go. And now I can solve this problem like normal. So I know 6 cannot fit into 4. 6 can fit into 42 7 times. Bring down my 6. Oh man, this is super easy. And I get 710. Pretty simple. Let's do 2 more and then we will be ready to go on to our individual practice. So let's see. All right, there we go. 216 divided by 3 hundredths. So how much 10, 100, or 1,000 do I need to multiply 3 hundredths by in order to make it become a whole number? I've got to move that decimal how many times? 2 times. So I need to multiply it by 2 zeros, 100. So it becomes a 3. And now I have to multiply 216 by 100 as well. So I'm going to add 2 zeros to the end of my number. And now I can solve like normal. So 7 can't fit into 2. It can fit into 21 7 times. Or sorry, 3 can fit into 21 7 times. I was getting ahead of myself there. 3 can fit into 6 2 times. And then I know I'm just going to have zeros at the end. So easy once you actually just move those decimals and turn those decimals into whole numbers. Let's take our last problem. So I have 7 hundredths going in to 2,800, or 2,800 divided by 7 hundredths. So what do I need to multiply 7 hundredths by in order to make it become a whole number? 100. I've got to move it twice. 1, 2. So it becomes a 7. And then I need to have 2 more zeros. Ooh, lots of zeros added to the end of 2,800. Now I can solve like normal. So 7 can go into 28 4 times. And this is just going to continue on to be a crazy big quotient. So today, the biggest thing that you need to think about is, what am I multiplying my divisor by in order to make it become a whole number? Am I multiplying it by 10, 100, or 1,000? Remember that we're simply moving the decimal. So if I move the decimal twice, then it's 100. If I move it once, then it's 10. If I have to move it 3 times, then it's 1,000. So whatever I do to the divisor, I have to do to the dividend. That's it. So off you go.